Good afternoon. This is Thunder Rose, Lesson 3, Part 1. Okay, we are going to review a little bit of what we've done before in Thunder Rose. We've talked about story elements, talked about the setting, we talked about the kind of story it is. We know the characters, we know what the character wants, we know the problems that the character had, how the character reacted to those problems, and we also talked about the solution. How did the character solve the problems? Right? We're going to review a little bit about a tall tale. Remember we said that a tall tale is a larger-than-life main character doing a particular job. They're like a superhero. The character has a problem that's solved, usually in a funny way. And they have exaggerated details that make the stories greater than they really are, a stretching of the truth. And they also have a central message or a lesson. And today we're going to talk about that exaggeration a little bit, how this story is exaggerated. We're going to review what exaggeration is. Exaggeration is to make something better or worse than it really is. It's not completely true. So remember we said, okay, we went fishing. We really did go fishing. And we caught a fish, but it wasn't this big, huge fish. It's just a little one. So it's making the truth bigger than what it really is. It can either be for the better or for worse. So our learning target for today is we will determine character traits by analyzing a character's actions and reactions, what they say and do. Remember that character traits, it's who a character is on the inside. It's their personality. Character traits show through what the character says and what the character does. That's how we know what kind of person they are. So if you're all the time mean to somebody, you're going to be, if you say mean things, you're going to be mean. But if you say please and thank you, how are you? You're showing manners. So you're a kind person. So it's what those characters say and do that helps to decide what those character traits are. So character traits. How do we know what the character traits are? We just talked a little bit about that. Here's some questions that we are going to have to answer to be able to know those character traits. We did this in Rumpelstiltskin, so this should be very familiar to you. So we need to ask ourselves, what is the character's motivation? Usually their motivation, what's inside of them, is going to determine how they act. So we have to know what a character's motivation is. We also know what words help me. We ask ourselves, what words help me understand the character or the actions of the character and how the character reacts to the problems? What do those words tell me about the character? So specifically the words that we're going to be looking for in today's lesson are those exaggerations and that figurative language. Does the author use it to tell about the character, and why? So the question we're asking is, let me make this make sense. What exaggerations or figurative language does the author use to tell me about the character, and why? What does this tell me about the character? All right, we're going to try this. How would you describe Thunder Rose in the Tall Tale Thunder Rose? We got to fix this. Let's get out of this slide. Oh, wait. Let's back up. I'm going to exit. And we're going to fix this. How would you describe Rose in the Tall Tale Thunder Rose? All right, here we go. Let's take a look at the text. Remember, Miss Barbier always says, go back to text. All right, so here we are in the text. So much in love with this gift of their lives, her ma and pa hovered over her in watchful splendor. Hang on here. So much in love with this gift of their lives, her ma and pa hovered over her in watchful splendor. Overcome with that love, they lifted their voices in song, an old song, and a melody so sweet and true, a lullaby passed down from the ages, echoing since the beginning of time. There's music ringing so sweetly in my ears, the newborn exclaimed. It's giving me a fortunate feeling rumbling deep in the pit of me. I'll register it here at the bull's eye set in the center of my heart and see what I can do with it one day. So we know Rose is our main character, and we already talked about the motivation. What is Rose's motivation? Do you remember? We go back to that slide. It says, there's music ringing so sweetly in my ear, the newborn exclaimed. It's giving me a fortunate feeling, rumbling deep in the pit of me. I'll register it here at the bullseye set in the center of my heart and see what I can do with it one day. So we know, here it is. She has a song she put deep inside of her heart, and she wants to do something with it one day. What words describe the character or her actions and reactions? Well, it says it. We just read it. There's music ringing so sweetly in my ears. Her actions are she's going to register it. She's going to put it right there in the center of her heart. Bullseye means center. So she's taking that song and she's putting it right in the center of her heart. No newborn had the utter strength to lift a whole cow clear over her head and almost drink it dry. In a moment's time, Rose did, and quite daintily so. She was pretty as a picture, had the sweetest disposition, but don't let yourself be misled. That child was full of lightning and thunder. Boys and girls, that's 2 sentences, very long, complex sentences. Let's take a look at the exaggeration that's being used in these sentences. So no newborn had the utter strength to lift a whole cow clear over her head and almost drink it dry. In a moment's time, Rose did, and quite daintily so. She was pretty as a picture, had the sweetest disposition, but don't let yourself be misled. That child was full of lightning and thunder. See, I read that twice. Let's look at the character traits. Remember that question. Let's go back. We're looking for exaggeration and figurative language. Why does the author use that? So let's go here. Look at this newborn. That's when a baby is just born. And it says that that baby that was just born had the utter strength to lift a whole cow clear over her head and almost drink it dry. Newborn is describing the baby. Rose is the baby. Remember we talked about those adjectives. What is her action? She's lifting a whole cow. I can't even lift 40 pounds, much less a whole cow. So what in the world is that telling us about Rose? Let's keep reading. In a moment's time, Rose did, and quite daintily so. You don't know what daintily means? Daintily means delicate, carefully. She was very careful when she was picking up that cow. I wonder why she was doing that. She was pretty as a picture. Pretty is another adjective that's describing Rose. Sweetest disposition. Sweet is describing Rose. Disposition was that word, remember we had last time in lesson 1. It means character trait. So she has a sweet character trait. But, there's that signal word, but. Don't let yourself be misled. That child was full of lightning and thunder. And remember we said daintily means carefully. So here's a strong model. Watch how I'll put this sentence together. Rose is a very sweet person. Well, the author told us that in the text this time, but not all the time will the author tell us those things. So you need to be very careful with what you choose. You have to use those clues to come up with a character trait sometimes. This time, it's in the text. But how do we know she's a sweet person? I'm supporting it with details from text. In my text, it says, Rose has a sweet disposition, and she was very careful with the cow so she wouldn't hurt it. Now, the author didn't tell us this, but I know, so I can use my own words. Daintily means careful. Why would she be careful with the cow? Well, she doesn't want to hurt it because she's a very sweet person. Someone who's sweet and kind wouldn't want to hurt something. So I really could put Rose is a very sweet, kind person. As a matter of fact, that's what I'm going to put. Let's change that. Rose is a very sweet and kind person. All right, let's keep going. So here are some character traits. We talked about positive. We talked about negative. We know that Rose's character traits are positive. She's helping. She's not hurting. Here are some traits: determined, intelligent, shy, loving, strong. Negative ones: undetermined, foolish, mean, hateful, weak. All right, let's try one together. You read it with me. No newborn had the utter strength to lift the whole cow clear over her head and almost drink it dry. In a moment's time, Rose did, and quite daintily so. She was pretty as a picture, had the sweetest disposition, but don't let yourself be misled. That child was full of lightning and thunder. Okay, let's try it. Okay, Rose is a newborn. She's just born. She can lift the whole cow. That's my thinking. Now watch my sentence. Rose is very strong. Now we need text support. We need those details from the text. The text says, Rose can lift a whole cow over her head. Rose must be super strong. Let's see if we can get this off of here. So the text says, Rose can lift a whole cow over her head. So Rose must be super strong. I want you to read that. Let's go back. Okay, this is the end of the slide. So I want you to remember, you are going to be determining character traits. So that means you have to use what that character says and what the character does to determine the type of person they are. When you determine that, go straight back to your text and let your reader know when you write your proof. How do you know that? What text details told you that? Okay, this is the end of lesson 3, part 1. Have a wonderful day.